Scam of the week is usually a hard-fought contest between ASX share market shenanigans and rorts and various lobby and PR-driven things coming out of Canberra. This week, however, the explosion of hostilities and propaganda out of the Middle East, the tragedy unfolding in Israel, and the sniping aftermath of The Voice have glossed over all other news. We might just say that this occasionally happens in news cycles. It happened at the beginning of COVID. It happened with 9/11 when there is no other news, especially given the terrible situation in Israel, which could turn into, World War III if other nations get involved in the Middle East. In any case, we did have a beauty this week from Rex Patrick, a global scoop about Australia's and the world's number one political prisoner, Julian Assange. He's definitely the contender for Scammed of the week. Assange has languished in prison now for more than 4 years without a trial, without proper legal process, all due to our AUKUS allies and Australians kowtowing to the US military establishment. It's now 13 years since Julian Assange was arrested in London, and he has never been tried. It's effectively torture. Thanks to the indefatigable Rex Patrick, however, we now have a far greater sense of why the Australian government has done nothing to get Julian home, to stand up to the US and go into bat for their Australian citizen. Meanwhile, and this is a scam on a $370 billion plane, and that is the $370 billion to buy submarines, which won't arrive for another 20 years, from the British and the Americans. We're effectively propping up their military-industrial complexes, subsidising their struggling shipyards with the money of the Australian public, and we're going to get dragged into US wars as a result. But when it comes to asking to repatriate an Australian citizen who is being tortured by interminable jail, the answer is a big fat nothing. What are they doing? Nothing. Now, politicians, when they're in opposition, are famous for talking about freedom of speech, accountability, freedom of the press, defending human rights. But when they get into office, there's a big old backflip every time, no matter the administration, all that good stuff, all those fine words fly out the window. We meant to get a federal ICAC that was transparent. In fact, we've got a federal ICAC, which is secret. On the matter of Julian Assange, we had Albo when he was in opposition saying, quote, "Enough is enough," and other Labor politicians making similar noises about the need to release Julian from jail in a foreign country without trial, especially as he's done the right thing by exposing US war crimes. But now Rex has got his FOIs back from the Attorney General Mark Dreyfus's office, and they show that enough was not enough. More jail, then more jail, and more jail is the Australian policy on this if you piece together these FOIs. Now, if you could look at them, we've published them, unlike the ICIJ, for public consumption on the website at michaelwest.com.au. You can go and check them out. The Albanese government won't press the US government to drop the prosecution of Julian Assange. There is no evidence of any pressure whatsoever. New information extracted from these FOIs makes it clear that Assange will remain in Belmarsh prison until he is extradited to the US. For him then to sit in a US maximum security jail for the years it will take this matter to get to the court in the US. And then, and only then, assuming he's convicted, will the government intervene to have Assange transferred to an Australian jail. A request for all briefings and submissions provided to Mark Dreyfus by his department between June 2022 and September 2023 netted just 5 documents, only 1 ministerial submission, 2 parliamentary question time briefs, 1 hot topic brief, and another set of talking points. 5 documents across 15 months. Elsewhere in the world of scams, we've outed the IDF propaganda machine this week. You can check that out on the West Report video channel on this channel, and why the Australian press is biased in favour of the Netanyahu government, unlike the Israeli press, where he's got a huge disapproval rating. But with Julian Assange, he surely gets scammed of the week due to the Australian government with its pretend to care about human rights and the rights of its citizens being tortured. No, what they care about is running around like patsies doing what the US wants them to do. And let's just hope that doesn't apply getting into the next useless US war. Australian foreign policy, of course, is a bit of a scam too, because it claims that the policy is guided by a commitment to multilateralism and regionalism. Well, unless regionalism means the region of the North Atlantic, the US and the UK, those guiding principles are being scammed. The commitment, it would appear, is to do whatever the US wants us to do. Have a lovely weekend. That was Scam of the Week. Thank you for your support.